Assalamu alaikum. How are you today, Ruyaida?
Wa alaikum salam. Well, thanks, and you, how are?
I would like to welcome you to the show. I am honored to sit across the room from a woman who not only embodies resilience, but also empowerment and intelligence. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Ruyaida, so looking at the many hats that you've worn, who is Ruyaida at the core, and what was it like for you getting to this point?
So I think credentials aside, that doesn't define who Ruyaida is. For me, Ruyaida is a giver. That's who I am at my core. And authenticity, being real, being realistic. But also, amongst all of that, I'm a mum to 3 beautiful children. I'm a wife. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter, a daughter-in-law, a friend, a confidant, and all of those things, that embodies a woman. So yes, we do hold or wear many hats. But at my core, I'd always say I'm a giver, and I would love to call myself a difference maker. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And your second question was,
how did we get to
How
this?
did we get to that? I think I have to say from the time I was, growing up, I always wanted to make a difference. And I saw myself as, at that time, a mentor. I would want to help people and make a difference in their life and say, okay, how can we change this? We don't have to stay stuck in this particular situation and I think that came from maybe a difficult upbringing, a difficult childhood. So I always wanted to change that and better that for myself and for the people around me. So I think that's where it all started.
And your difficult childhood, what did that teach you? I know you said something you love by is making the impossible possible. So how did your difficult childhood shape that for you?
I think I just wanted to make things better. Okay. So you want to get out of, it was a lot of things, it was a whole series of things. But for me, something that sticks out now in particular, talking to you and having you across the room, was not being allowed to study, in inverted commas, okay. Or being turned down from a bursary, purely because I was female.
Okay.
I was female, I was Indian, and I was Muslim at the time. This is very many years ago. And it does sound crazy that, you think like 30, 35 years ago, this was the narrative, but it was my reality. And I fought against all odds. So I'd say we fought against all odds, my mother included. And we said, no, that's it. If the bursary was declined, or if the organization had, refused a bursary, there was an affordability crisis at that time for the studies. And I think at that point in my life, I just decided, that's it. I'm going to do this for myself, and also to make a difference to everyone around me, to say that impossible is possible.
Yes.
And at that time, it was impossible. It was tough. It was tough. It was a student loan that was eventually taken out, for first year of university. And for some reason at that point, I had made up my mind that I am going to do well. And I studied and I studied and I studied. And because of the academic results of that first year, all of it ended up being paid for by the university. It was purely because of, the hard work and the perseverance and that. So having said that as well, I was never a straight A student or it was just hard work. Lots and lots of hard work.
And would you say that the hard work is something that can be something that you can adopt in anyone, or is it?
Yes, I think so. I definitely think that if you have a goal in mind, and at the end, if you have your why, what is your why, and why, and if you just motivate it from within yourself to say, this is what I want to get, or this is what I want to achieve, then I think the impossible is possible. And you would then automatically, it would just come naturally. You'd start throwing out all the unnecessary stuff in your brain or in your mind, or you'll start prioritizing. And, in your list of priorities, then that hard work and that focus would become an almost discipline. It comes naturally. It's hard. It's not easy. It just doesn't happen. But if you have an end goal in mind, and I always say that, if you have something that you're working towards and you can almost visualize it, if you close your eyes and you picture yourself. I used to picture myself on the graduation stage all of the time. I think as a young girl, I was 18, I would actually sign off as a CASA, just, the fake signatures
Yes.
you do when you're young. And I think my kids have done it for many, many years. You'd sign off my name and next to it, you'd put CASA. And at that time, it was like, you look at it and you think, is this possible? Like, what am I doing? And so I think definitely, absolutely.
And then, so you became a CA.
Yes.
And then from CA to life coach, how did that?
The transition.
What triggered that?
So that's a very profound moment, I think, in my journey. So I got married very young, at 19. So the CA studies was all done whilst being married, whilst having children, being a full-time university student. Navigating life. Our eldest was born in my final year of accounting sciences. And I, at that point, decided again that I'm not going to drop out of full-time university. Although the pressure was, around me was, no, you're going to be a better mum if you drop out. And how are you going to manage this? And. So I blocked out all of the noise. And I went back to university 10 days after having our first child. Obviously, fast forward, there were 3 children involved in articles and board exams and all of that. 2010, I had a huge medical crisis, I call it. And I think that's what started off the life coaching journey, where I became very, very ill, confined to a bed. We had to bring in help, nurses, doctors, drivers, caregivers, cooks. People had to help me at that time. It was a very dull or a dark time in my life, 2010, 2011, where doctors had then asked me not to operate any machinery, no car. I was not allowed to drive a car. Okay. I was booked off work, physical. Actually, I wasn't allowed to go to the office as such. So I just laid in the bed for months or weeks on end. And then I thought, no, there's a bigger purpose. Yeah. There has to be more to life than this. I mean, I cannot do this. And yes, great, I qualified and I achieved what I wanted to at that time with all of the kids. And the kids were ill, they used to be in and out of hospital. And it was a tough journey to navigate, especially working at one of the big 4. There was no, at that time, the word I can use, there was not a lot of compassion and being a female in the corporate world was not an easy task. To leave them at 4:30 in the morning, to bring in the floaters, the help, to work till sometimes 2 a.m. As an article clerk, you literally, you're working for the big 4. It's long hours, it's stressful times. I thought there had to be more. It just couldn't be this. And that's when the life coaching journey, transpired, because I wanted to then make a difference and help people. And there was more to it. And I then registered for a course, and in the comfort, or well, not comfort, but from my bed, there was an online course that I registered for. But then that went to the next, to then coming out of this medical condition, and then registering full time for the course. So I did quite an intense course with a master's and, proper examinations. And that then ended in 2011. And that's when the life coaching studio then opened up, or that's when I started Evolve. So it's 14 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And in this 14 years, what would you say was the most profound thing you learned from the life coaching?
That every single one of us have it within us to make a difference. We have it. It's inherent. It's there. We're worthy. We are enough. We're capable. We can make that difference, and we can change the impossible, to possible. I'm a firm believer of that there's not, obviously I'm talking, with parameters, within parameters, or we spoke earlier about, having a governance, there has to be some kind of governance. But if you follow those kind of governance rules and within the parameters, you're able to achieve anything that you put your mind to. But it takes a lot of discipline and hard work.
Of course, yeah. And then something you live by is empowered women empower others. And I read one of your articles and you said that women are warriors. Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
So I think that for me, my mom played a huge role in my life. So we're speaking, my mom's now currently 81, and she comes from the background of being completely illiterate. Okay. So she was, she had to leave school. At that time, the reality was such, it was completely different. But I watched her. I watched her as a young girl, and I watched her work very, very, very hard to make little dreams come true, my sisters and I. And she empowered herself in ways and means that at that time, 40 years ago, women would not think of it. She started a home industry business then, 40 years ago, she started making savories and started, fending, those kind of things. So I think for me, it was watching her empower herself to achieve her goals, her little goals at that time, whether it was, doing a new kitchen or something, something that was personal to her at the time. But for me, it's because she empowered herself, and she just didn't throw in the towel and say, okay, that's it, I can't, or I'm unable to, or I don't have the education, or I don't know how to read or write. We would correct her spelling at that time when she would label, the savories. The spelling was incorrect, and who would go in and say, Mom, that's not how you spell it. But I can laugh about it today, but when I think back at it, that for me is a very profound moment that I don't think I actually reflected on a lot. But as I started growing up, and getting more into my career and more into my resilience, I realized that she is one of the reasons, because she empowered herself. She was able to give me that courage, or that discipline, or that also self-belief to say that, you know what, you can do it, and there's nothing that's impossible. And she did achieve lots and lots of her dreams, without an education, without a career, without a job. And for me, that's very profound.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she's still as feisty. At 81, she still drives, and she will not have us take away her car. And we always tell her it's dangerous. You at the age where you shouldn't be. And she's like, no, that's it. So yeah, it is. It's amazing.
It's great that she's independent.
Thank you. Yeah.
And something that you wanted to challenge is the Indian Muslim woman's narrative. What would you want that to look like for women, trying to empower them?
So for me, I think it would be to almost get the message across that you can have it all. You can have that balance. You can find the balance between being a woman, in your feminine side, embracing that feminine side of yours, and having the career, being the mum, the wife, the nurturer, the protector, all of those hats that women wear in general, and having that career. And the reason we say female Indian Muslim woman is, for some reason, in the last 15 years of my life, or even more, it's very sad. It's sad for me when I have clients across me, and one of the reasons is they won't register, or they won't complete their degrees, or they won't complete what they set out to do. It's purely because of this lack of self-doubt. They have a lot of self-doubt within them to say, I don't think I can do this, or I don't think I'm able to achieve this, or if I set out on this path, am I then being a bad mother? That's something that's very common that comes up, with a lot of the clients that I deal with, and even in the community. It wasn't easy navigating myself, when I had 3 children in the local schools. My kids would ask me at that time, Mom, why are you the only mom that's not fetching us? Yeah. Or I'd have my little one would say, Mom, but you don't bring us hot lunch at 10 o'clock in the morning. And I actually then, at that time, not challenge, I think that's a wrong word to use, but for a lack of better words, I had a meeting with the principal at that time to say, I'd like to understand, how is it that you schedule every speech contest, every Kirat Jalsa, everything that includes mums, for their children, how do you schedule it on a weekday in the morning? Yeah. I just needed to understand for myself, because there'd be 30 kids in the class, and there would be 29 acceptance, and I would be the one that I wasn't not able to do it. At that time, it was difficult. I was again governed by the Big Four and the strict times, of having to clock in and clock out of work. Yes. So it was an 8 to 4 job or an 8 to 8 job. And at every second or third or fourth week, to go physically to your boss and say, I need the morning off because, or I need the morning off. And that doesn't go down very well, before. In the old days, now I'm talking, I'm much older than the average. Thank you. But I'm much older than the average career woman at at this point in time, 2025. Going back to 2001, 2025 years ago, it was a little different. The landscapes were different. The area in which I lived with, the dynamics were completely different. So for me, it was having to change that narrative or that mindset, especially with our youth or the women around me that I surround myself with, to say that you can actually have that balance, but it's about prioritizing and how you're going to actually handle this. So if they can just stop the self-doubt, that I can't be a good mum, or I'm not going to be able to be a good wife or a good daughter or a good daughter-in-law if I then choose to complete my studies. I mean, for me, the saddest thing is I have people in my life who have maybe 3 or 4 modules left before they graduate. I suppose it's a personal thing, so I'm not enforcing it. I always love to encourage that and to promote that and to say, come, how can we actually get you to finish these modules? I had a chat recently with someone and she says, no, I left university and I got married and I wish I could go back. And I said, what's stopping you? Yeah. What's stopping you? Let's go. Let's literally take a drive. There's online institutions now, of course, again, within parameters, within boundaries, governed again. Yes. I'm not saying that we should all go out to university and it's not just the university degree that I'm talking about. I'm not just talking about academics. I'm talking about if there's something that you're passionate about. Yes. If it's a home industry skill, or if it's a baking, or if it's, art or flower, anything that you see yourself being passionate about, something that awakens you and think, wow, this is something, there's online courses available. You can do it in the comfort of your home, within your own time, in your own time, whether it's, registering for something. But the saddest thing for me is not doing it. Try. Just, give it a try. You just never know where it takes you. And I think that's what I'd like to inspire women to do across the world, to say, you know what, let's try something. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least we tried, know. It's better than a what if scenario when we're 50, 60, 70, or it's almost having your own identity. I also think that having something for yourself gives you, of course, all of us have our own purpose, our children, our families, our spouses, parents, all of that. It is our purpose, but perhaps something for yourself. And I'm not just saying, you need to go out to work and stuff like that, but something that you identify with. When you wake up in the morning, it's, who am I? What am I doing? What is my why? I always ask that question, When I wake up in the morning, I ask myself that, what is your why? Why are you doing what you're doing today? What difference are you going to make in this world? Do you want to make a difference? I think that's it. Yeah.
And the family and friends that you're surrounded by, what role do they play, and how do you balance it?
So it is. I have. It's actually a very nice question. I'm glad you're asking me this, because I think about this a lot and I reflect a lot. I spend a lot of time on my own. So for me, it's different, because I have my professional side, or my professional friends, and then I have my personal friends and my family, and it's not always easy to manage the two, because sometimes I walk into the room and I think, okay, do I belong here? Not because of not being confident or anything. It's just that sometimes the goals are not aligned, but the conversations are not aligned. And then I think, no, it's beautiful to have that nice balance between the two, because I am, again, like I say, by nature, my feminine side is always higher, than the masculine side. And I love that. And I embrace the feminine side of me. And I love talking about all the things that brings out the feminine side in me. So to answer your question, I balance it by, I think I just... if I'm able to, I do it, and if I'm unable to, then I don't. I'd like to, though. There's a lot of times where I want to be at a specific place, but I'm unable to. And I do have FOMO. I have severe FOMO sometimes, where I decline something because of work commitments or other commitments. But I've also realized in the whole scheme of things over the years and over, lots of self-reflection and lots of self-work, personal development work, I've realized that you are meant to be exactly where you're meant to be.
Yes.
And that's what God wants, that's the spiritual side of coming. If you're not supposed to be somewhere or relate to something or engage in something, the universe will just align that for you. So I think having that at the back of my mind, I enjoy both of them and I balance it. Yeah, try.
You mentioned that you like spending a lot of time alone.
Yes.
How has that solitude given more to your success?
I think for me, enjoying my own company, being alone, reflecting, lots of reflections, has increased the spirituality side, the spiritual side of me. Also aligning my goals to what Allah wants, what He destined for me, what He chose for me, almost, for that kind of feeling. But I also think it's my values. I question a lot of my values, my morals, my integrity. And I'm able to also then sit back and think, what is it that I want? This world, we all say that this world is a test. It's an examination, that we now every day we're going into this exam. And this world is literally such a short, it's literally so short, and we all prepare for the world after, for the hereafter. And I think for me, that alone time helps me connect. It helps me connect spiritually, emotionally, mentally, to reprioritize. And when I spend time on my own, I then start taking heed. I start reflecting on what's important to me, and what's important to Allah as well. So I think in that I find a nice balance between what I need to do, what I want to do, because it's not what I want to do is not always aligned to what I need to do. And in that list of priorities, it's so funny because something that might have been important to me 30 years ago, it's no more important. It's just come down. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's just come down the list a bit because other things have now taken priority. So to answer that, I think it's the closeness that one gets or one feels with their creator when you spend time on your own. And it's a beautiful, it's a beautiful space to be in, to just close your eyes or to sit alone and to start questioning your day to day and how are you preparing? Because remember, this world is just, it can eat you up. It can swallow you up. I always say that. It can literally take you and you can, go down in it. It's about staying grounded. And it's about staying firm in certain things. And I think that for me just gives me that balance or that equilibrium that I'm always looking for, because I'm organized chaos. I call myself that every day. My life is organized chaos. And it might not seem that way. It doesn't appear to be that way to a lot of the people. But literally, it's juggling all of these balls every single day. And they're falling. They do fall. They have to fall. I'm human. We all are. But for me, it's when I sit back and I'm able to catch that one and catch this ball in my mind, and I'm like, okay, I'm good again. I'm good to go. So that for me, and I love traveling alone. Okay, I can do it, and I love driving alone. I love going to the mall alone. Those. So I enjoyed that, my own company, even on a social level, not just a spiritual level. So I think, and that's a beautiful sync for me, spirituality and just the social part of it. To say that I'm okay. And it's quite liberating.
I'm sure. Yeah. And how do you take the spirituality into the boardroom and into the corporate life?
That's an interesting question. So I think it's again aligned to your values, your morals, your integrity. It's who you are. Your core, your inherent core it's there. It's when you're in a boardroom, when you're closing a deal, or when you're doing a presentation, or when you're doing anything in your day-to-day life, not just professionally, but personally, but more on your question about the professional side of things. I think it's staying grounded again to say, will my Allah be happy with what I'm doing right now? Will He be happy with what I'm about to say or I'm about to do, or my thought process as well? And if you just have that in mind, at the back of your mind all of the time, it's about intention as well. So I'm a very, very, very firm and strong believer that lots and lots and lots of decisions or outcomes based on your intention. So I think if you go in with that intention of, oh Allah, oh, dear God, however, in whichever way you pray, to say that please align this, to what's best for me, what's best for who I am, my morals, my values, my integrity. And I think it just happens, naturally. It's not something that you specifically now think about. But if there's something that's in front of you that's just not right, incorrect, that you think, you have this, almost this gut feeling or the sixth sense, intuition, I say. And if it doesn't feel right, it's not right. Yeah. Don't go for it. I just, that's me personally. If something, I don't do force that. I just cannot force something, because I then hand over and I pray and I say, okay, Allah, if this is not meant for me now, take it away. Just, take it away. Let it fall. Let it just disintegrate. It's okay. Let it be, in any aspect, whether it's friends, personal, family, professional, work-wise, contracts, clients, I'm very, very, very particular about asking for clients that I would make a difference to. So I say, dear God, please bring me clients that are good for me, but I also need to be good for them. Yes. So if I'm not good for them, and if I'm not going to make a difference to them, and if I'm not going to give them what they really, really, really wanted, hoping to achieve, then just let it dissolve, that kind of thing. So I'm a very let it be person. Okay. If somebody didn't do something, let it be. If I didn't attend something, let it be. If something didn't happen the way it's supposed to happen, because we all have these plans, Yes. These brilliant plans that, that I myself, and I think, no, I'm in control of this and in control. Absolutely not. None of it is in our control. So just let it be.
Yeah. And you've also coached many of the business leaders.
Yes.
What would you say is the most common setback or the most common issue that the leaders are having at the moment?
Also quite a difficult one, but it's funny again you asked that, because recently it's about having an open mind. And the one thing that sticks out for me recently was, if you go, or if you come to a place, or if you come to a seminar or a business session or a coaching session or anything in that, for that matter, and if you feel that you know it all, or that you have all the answers to these questions, then I think that for me is huge, because you're not open to growth. You're not open to wanting to learn something different, or even just hear it out. Just, yes, I understand that you come from this powerful place, and I understand that you got to this place because of a lot of people like to believe it's because of intellect, and yes, it is hard work. Absolutely. I'm not taking away from that at all, that it was lots of hard work, lots of sacrifice, lots of, late nights and your ambition and stuff like that. But I also believe that there is a higher being that was instrumental in that, of where you are. But if you can just be a little bit more open-minded, that there is more to learn. There's always something that you can think of it differently, approach it differently, just give it thought. So I think the day that you believe that you have the answers to everything, and I think that for me is one of the setbacks of the powerful leaders, where they think they know it all, with all due respect. And I say that with all the respect to all the powerhouses out there. Be open-minded, be more open to wanting to learn more and to learn from others. And that just doesn't mean from experience, or there could be someone who's maybe lower down the ranks, in the professional world, maybe doesn't have the title that you have, but perhaps he or she does have something valuable to add. And also the one thing I've learned over the years is that age we always have this myth or this idea, this perception that because you're older, you are definitely wiser. Absolutely. I have the utmost respect for my elders and my peers and my mentors. But age doesn't mean that you have the answers for that as well, because it could be someone much younger than you that had, and that's also based on experiences and how life has maybe gotten them to that point.
Yes.
So even though they're younger, their life experiences has molded them to have that maybe a better answer or a different approach to things.
Yes,
I think that would be it. That just be more open-minded and more open to learning and wanting to learn more. And maybe you'll just be pleasantly surprised.
I'm sure you would, yeah. And behind your titles and, you're a CA, you've won awards, you've been in magazine covers, but what's the silent struggles that you battle with?
Staying grounded. Staying grounded is something that I struggle with. I have to remind myself every single day that, you know what, this is all, the world itself, it's all these accolades, and it might look like it's all glamorous and it's beautiful, and it's a nice feeling to have to go to work and make a difference in people's life and do the mentorship and do the lecturing and do all of these nice things. But staying grounded, staying true to myself, staying authentic is for me very, very, very important. I wouldn't say struggle with it, but it's a reminder. So I've got to constantly remind myself that, stay grounded, stay humble, always, always, always remember. Almost don't forget your roots. Don't ever forget your roots, not for any other reason. Again, we get swallowed into this world. We're chasing, it's the hamster wheel. Like sometimes I actually tell myself, Ruyaida, we're on the hamster wheel again. I talk to myself as I'm driving. I'm like, we're going round and round. Where are you going to? And then I'm like, no way, literally to myself. So I think it's staying grounded, it's staying humble, not forgetting your roots, not forgetting where you came from. And of course, having Allah, by your side all of the time, and remembering that none of this that you're doing is actually you.
Yes.
It's not you. You might think it's you. You might think, yes, it's me studying or me doing this or me doing that and, all of these things. But absolutely none of that defines who I am or defines my core values, what I'd like to be. So I think it's just, having Allah at the back of your mind all of the time with intention, with purpose, making a difference. Because really, if we sit back and we question, what is it that we're actually doing? It's lots of different answers. So I struggle with, just making sure that I do things with a clear intention and a pure intention. Yes. And I think that gets me through the day and years.
I'm sure. And do you have any regrets when you look back at your journey?
Interesting question. I wouldn't say regrets, because again, I'm a firm believer that every single aspect or every single incident that has happened in your life or that has, molded you or you're here because of those things. So you are exactly where you're supposed to be. There's a beautiful saying that I think of, sometimes when I reflect, I say, in the infinity of life, it's Louise Hay saying, to say that everything is whole, everything is perfect, everything is in harmony. So I do believe that certain mistakes, and we all make mistakes, we're human. Of course, I've made mistakes, lots and lots of mistakes, but every mistake that I've made, I've turned that mistake into purpose, or I've turned that adversity, that adverse situation that I might have had years ago, or the decision, an incorrect decision that I might have made years ago, which we can, call regret. I believe that if you turn it into opportunity, and if you look at what did I learn from this? What did I actually learn from this? How could I have maybe done something differently then? We cannot go back. Yeah. We cannot even go back a second ago to what I've answered to, your previous questions. But what we can do is embrace this present moment that I'm in right now, right in front of you right now, and be appreciative of the fact that I am right here, right now, in this moment, to say that all of my past experiences, certain bad decisions that I might have made, has molded me into what I am today, has basically brought me to this point. I wish if there was something, and to answer your question more specifically, if there was something that I could tell my younger self, is just let it be. Don't. All those boxes that I used to tick, I had to tick a box. Needed validation, needed acknowledgement, needed someone to say, wow, well done. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. It's beautiful when someone appreciates your work, or to say, wow, Ruyaida, wow, how you've done so brilliantly. And it's a beautiful feeling. All of us, every single woman. I mean, even if you put on a dress, and your mum or your spouse or your sister says, wow, it's good. It's a nice feeling to have. But I wish I hadn't placed so much of emphasis on what others actually thought, of me or about me, or the judgments. Yeah. If I could just let the judgments just let it go, if I could just ignore the judgments, I am, alhamdulillah, and I say this from a really humble side of me, it's okay, it's okay, judge, do whatever you have to do, it's okay, let it be. So I wish, my younger self would have, because I put a lot of pressure on myself in the older days, But I also think that just comes with age. Yes. I think when you're young, you want
normal.
To change. Yeah, it's normal. You want to change the world, and you want to make an impression, and you want to feel, acknowledged. And, it's funny. It's like that best dessert. You want to make that dessert. So now everybody's going to say, wow, that's the dessert, or the recipe. And so in terms of regrets, maybe, actually, no. Yeah, I think it's just maybe letting go of, the judgments and letting people just do what they had to do, and not taking things so personally before. Yeah. So I think that's a huge milestone for me, is having to not internalize. Actually, maybe that's what I'm looking for. Maybe not internalize everything. But I think
I think most women do.
Yes, and it's not an easy thing to not do. Yes. You've got to be in a space, and it's not about I'm better than you, or I don't care anymore. It's not about that. It's about just being okay with everything that comes your way, and to almost accept it and say, okay, it's fine. If there's judgments, it's okay. If that's what you feel, it's okay. And I also think it's about that intention that I spoke about earlier. If your intention is clear, and if you know exactly what you're doing, why you're doing it, then all of that noise and the clutter and all of that will just, it will be blocked out and silenced automatically. Yes. And you won't internalize that, because the moment we start internalizing perceptions, opinions, judgments, you can become ill, literally from internally. There's that illness that comes through, and it manifests in many different ways. So, I think that's something that I wish, if I had known in my earlier days. But again, that comes with age. Yeah. And I think also navigating life and the difficulty or difficult circumstances in life would bring you to this point, to say that all of that doesn't matter anymore. It's again reprioritizing. It's again being grounded. It's again having that governance structure to say, what is important right now? What am I actually trying to achieve on a day-to-day basis?
And going forward, what legacy would you want to leave?
My legacy. I think if my children, all three of my children, could just hold on to the values, the morals, the teachings that their dad and I have instilled in them. And if they could just hold on to that really, really, really with dear life, to say that, what, if we can just stay grounded again. And I always say that, and even at my daughter's wedding, when I said a tribute to her, one of the things that was very profound for me was for her to stay grounded, for her to be helpful and to help people that are less fortunate than her. And that for me is really, really, if that's something that my kids could do for me, after me, help any single person, regardless. regardless. Just help them. Anything. Absolutely anything. If it's just lifting a stone off the road, or helping someone financially, making a difference. Because I do believe one thing, and I always also remind myself of that who you are makes a difference. We always think that, what difference am I making? It doesn't matter. There's 10 other people doing it, or there's 50 other organizations, for example, doing this. But that one thing that you can make, that little thing that you can do. And I think that's also coming from, me being rejected from studying, from a financial perspective. If I could just change that one thing to say, you know what, if it's just helping someone through, just do it. Just be kind. Kindness for me is important. If they can carry on that, carry on the sadhkas, in any form, absolutely any form, a smile, a hug, a helping hand. That's something I would love for them to continue.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful legacy to leave.
Thank you.
And if we could close off today with words of wisdom or powerful takeaways, what would you say?
I would say that, again, we started off with saying that make the impossible possible. So if I could leave a message out there to say, if there's something that it's burning within you, all of us wake up in the morning or wake up every day and say, I wish I could do this, or I wish, something. If you're having that thought right now, of I wish I could do something, or I wish I could change something, or I wish I could get out of a bad situation, or I do pray that I can change something. I believe that with prayer, spirituality, connect, take some time and, just try and build this kind of spiritual connection where you almost start believing that this impossible journey that lies ahead of you, or this impossible day that lies ahead of you, whatever it is, if you can just start believing in yourself, start believing that self-doubt, if I can remove the self-doubt from a lot of us, including myself, I also have self-doubt, a lot of it. If I can just remove that on a day-to-day basis, to say that even if it's little, baby steps, little things that you want to achieve, or you want to better your situation, get out of something, change something. Remember, change starts from us. If we're going to continue doing the same thing every single day, hoping for change, that's not going to happen. Unfortunately, that's just the way life is. If you want to, do something or achieve something, it's brilliant to always say, I want to do this, I want to do this. But then that for me just remains a wish list. I wish. But what's the action plan? What is your action plan that's going to now be aligned to that wish list? And for me, something personal and just comes up. I always, all of us, and because we're women here, I can say it openly and proudly, I wish to lose 5 kilos, for example, right? All of us wake up and we say that. It's always on our wish list. Every Monday morning, we're starting a diet. And just to bring maybe a lighter note to this conversation. But if there's no action plan, how are we going to achieve that? I stand on the scale every Monday. Every Monday I'm exactly the same because I didn't change anything the week before. So it's just trying to put an analogy to it, But like I said, on a lighter note. But on a more serious note, if there's something that you want to achieve within, again, parameters, within boundaries, for me, one of the most crippling things I heard or I experienced a few days ago was somebody actually said, I cannot drive from point A to point B. And now for me, I'm not saying that you have to be able to drive to be able to achieve all of this and and have a purpose in life. And it's not that. It's just, I wish I could take you by your hand, like literally take you by your hand, make you sit in the car, and It's not that she's unable to drive. It's she has a license. She's able to drive. She has this self-limiting belief within herself that I'm unable to do this. And because we keep manifesting that to the universe, if I keep manifesting that to the universe, that I'm unable to do A, B, C, D, I'm already telling myself that I'm unable to do it. So if literally I wanted to take her by her hand and say, sit next to me, let's go on that highway. Because for me, it's limiting yourself. It's limiting yourself to what you're capable of. Yes, alhamdulillah, I'm glad that you don't have the need to drive on the Joburg highway. It's a beautiful feeling to be driven around, right? So you don't have to drive. But for me, it's knowing that you're able to. You can. It's just that you in your mind. And remember, those that say they can and those that say they can't, they both are correct.
Yes.
As Confucius says, if you say I can't move this mic, it's true. And if I say I can move it, it's also true. It's because of what you believe in. So I think if that's one or two things I want to leave behind. It's connect spiritually, to remove all the self-doubt within, that you have. Give it a try. I was told some 15 years ago that I would not be able to drive a car again. And I fought the mind and the doctors. My apologies to the doctors. But I went against medical advice, which might not have been a good thing at the time. I agree 100%. But if I didn't tell myself that I am going to get out of this bed, I will get out of this bed, I will go back to work, I will overcome this illness, having, just being in the bed and being fed and your hair being combed and, your face being creamed and all of those things. It's not a nice space to be in. Yes. And of course, I understand now much better that was the best thing for me at the time that Allah had ordained for me. But if I didn't almost empower myself or my mind, if I didn't have that strong mind, and that's where my mother comes in a lot of the times, is because I would see her and I would see how her mind worked, and she wouldn't allow all of these things to pull her down. And I'm saying that you can get out of it. You just got to then somehow navigate through it. And I know that life is difficult. Life is difficult. Yeah. Every day is difficult. Every day there is a challenge you're going to have. And that's what life is about. It's about a test, right? And how are we going to pass that test, or how are we going to approach that test, and your perspective on that test? You take this adversity. If I look at all of the stuff that I've had to go through, whether it was studying, kids, illnesses, home invasion, my husband literally putting his life on the line to save us one evening when we had a home invasion a few years ago. All of that, if I had to take that, they were all adverse, incidents or bad incidents that happen. And you've got to change that into opportunity and say, okay, how do I come out of this? Or how do I then just, almost accept what has happened, hand over to Allah, and almost see what good is coming out of that.
Yeah. Finding the goodness.
Yes.
It's been absolutely inspirational. Your journey sounds beautiful.
Thank you.
And it was a privilege to listen to your story.
Thank you for having me. And I love you with you always.
Ameen. And you.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.